Okay, so let's get going. Um, a few thoughts about the session that we just had. Thanks, Alex Kasiang and Nishit again. There was this. I took away a few points about making this opportunity count, having the courage to break the boundaries and find new ways that insurance can create value for people, and this bit about AI. Whether it's eroding our profession. So it links really nicely to our next speaker, Annette. Annette is an experienced international company director, CEO, and an actuary. She's worked across Asia Pacific and 10 years in Singapore, actually, over the last 30 years, where she previously held the roles of CEO at Manulife. She was the president of the Life Insurance Association, and she's been very active on the SAS Council. And now she's back in Australia. She chairs the Galileo Platforms, an insurtech company. She's also an independent non-executive director at Swiss Re Australia, New Zealand, and she's the vice president and the counselor at the Actuaries Institute in Australia. So she'll share with us a bit about the innovation, speed, and digital engagement of clients. This need has become very apparent now in the face of COVID-19. As insurers, we want to help more people in new ways, but what are the barriers that we are facing? How can new technologies help us to enable new business models, scalable growth? How can we innovate the innovation life cycle, and how can we link that to the actuarial control cycle that we all are very familiar with? How can we be more agile, reach more clients, and grow our profitability? So with this, I will hand the time over to Annette. Annette, please.
Thank you, Charlene, and hi everybody. I will just share my screen here.
Yep, you can see your screen.
You see that? Okay, great. Thanks, Charlene, and good morning, everybody. I'm so delighted to be joining you today. Singapore is my second home. I, as Charlene said, lived and worked there for more than 10 years, and I still continue to come there very frequently. I've been on a board there for the last 5 years as well. So today I'll be talking to you about reaching the untapped client segments through product and service innovation. So just a little bit about my background. I'm an actuary who very early in my career found my true passion was around clients and around product development and marketing. And so my whole career, including Chief Marketing Officer and CFO, but also as CEO and now non-exec director, my whole career is really focused around helping clients and using product and service innovation in differentiated ways to grow businesses profitably and rapidly. So today I'm going to be talking to you about financial inclusion, both in emerging markets as well as in mature markets like Singapore, and using new tools and technologies and rethinking capabilities within our organizations that enable us to reach clients where they need us, when they need us, and how they need us. After I was the CEO at Manulife in Singapore, I then went on to be responsible for client experience for Manulife across Asia. And so this continues to loop in my passion about clients and utilizing product development and service innovation to really help more people and to grow businesses profitably. So the opportunity, the size of the prize is enormous, as we know. Asia is a third of the global insurance market already, but according to the Swiss Re Sigma report, will grow to more than 42% by the end of the decade. So a lot of this growth is anticipated to come from not just deepening relationships with existing clients, but actually reaching new clients. And there are two parts to that. One is reaching new clients who are coming into the addressable market for the very first time. And the second is reaching customers in mature markets who already have supply of insurance, but they may not be reached in the way that they want to be reached. And so we've got to innovate about how best to engage them and help them with protecting their lives, their livelihoods, and of course their assets. So before I get into talk about some of the shift in mindset and the tools that are available to us as actuaries and as product designers, I thought I would just start with a poll. And the poll is going to ask you to think about your most recent new product, not a tweak to an existing product, but a new product. And I just want to see how long your organization has taken to go from concept, literally an idea, nothing written down yet. How long did it take you to go from a concept all the way through to launch the product in the market? I think, Charlene, are you able to put that poll up? Great. Yeah, so just think about the last product, the new product that you developed, and click on one of the options there. How are the results looking, Charlene?
We've got 70 responses so far, but climbing really quickly. 90 now out of 200 plus. So let me know when maybe we get to about 120, which is half the crowd.
Sure. The reason I'm asking this question is that if you're a believer in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, the data-driven world, the business models are different. The partners that you need for reaching our clients in the most relevant way and at the most relevant time for them are likely to be different. And so our service innovation needs to be fairly rapid. So can we see the results now, Charlene?
Yep. I'll just end it and share. Can you see it now?
Right, yeah, okay. So that's a pretty good mix. There's 1% of people who can do an entirely new product in less than a month. Most organizations are between 1 and 12 months, and there's quite a few more than 12 months, with the average being sort of 3 to 6 months duration. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, there are quite a few results or surveys that are done globally around how long it takes to get product to market. And how much it costs, and it often costs, over $1 million. And so the time taken, the bandwidth that executives have available, and the cost to get product to market often limits the amount of innovation. And I think Kasiang in the earlier session was referring a bit to the fact that we haven't really, or maybe it was Nish who said, we haven't really innovated enormously since critical illness or Elder Shield. And the opportunity really is there for us as designers of product and service to actually really put ourselves in the customer's shoes and design propositions that are relevant and available to them at a time and in an affordable way that makes their lives easier. So look, the opportunity then from opening up of new client segments and revenues is available. It's enormous. It's hundreds of billions of dollars of insurance premium in Asia alone. And whether you're talking about the emerging middle class in developing markets that surround Singapore, or if you're talking about digitally engaging people who are in Singapore and other mature markets of Asia, I think that these growth opportunities are on everybody's strategic plan. The boards and the CEOs are saying we need to grow, and we have the capability to help more people protect their lives and livelihoods. So please, product designers, go and find a way to do it. So I think the goals are clear to everybody. But as a practitioner, and I've been in, in the shoes that everybody's been in, that are in today, trying to design these client-centered solutions, the practicalities are that you may come up with a great idea, you may market test it with your customers and design a completely new client journey and solution set. But when you come to implement it, the practicalities often get negotiated away, and you give away your optimum proposition. You have to negotiate your financials, how to administer this, how to train people, and how to communicate it with customers in your target segment. So Galileo platforms, and I sit on a number of organizations' boards, but I did co-found Galileo with my partner. We came to that challenge with a clean sheet of paper and said, what is holding people back from helping more clients in more ways, given that we know how many consumers want to interact and think about their insurance and have it wrapped around their lives and around their businesses, rather than having to think about it once a year with their financial advisor. And the practical challenges are often in the product construct that are limited by legacy systems. There's often a spaghetti of old systems that speak to each other, but that causes business process handoffs both within organizations and between organizations. And that leads to a very frictionful client experience. So when we came to think about the problem, we said, if we started with the tools that are available and the technologies that are available today, how would we go about designing an infrastructure that would support the design toolkit that would enable people to create very differentiated, very relevant, very personalized insurance solutions to take to market? And particularly with this focus on financial inclusion. So feet on the street has traditionally been the way that insurance has been advised and sold. However, that precludes many, many hundreds of millions of people in Asia from having access to the insurance that will help them through the bumps of life. Digital is definitely the way to go about it. They want real-time, easy access, affordable, simple, not hard to think through. But in order to deliver that, it really requires new capabilities. Some of it is mindset and culture in a client-centered organization. Some of it is the tools and technologies and processes that we think about as product designers take solutions out to market. And thinking about building a jigsaw of a client experience that you design for your target customer base really requires that you've got the tools in your design kit that enable coverage to be at an individual coverage or benefit level, not at a policy level or a product level. And this is where traditionally the technology systems have constrained the way the product designers think about delivering solutions out to market. But if you turn it on its head and think about the customer need, and then you think about what insurance benefit coverage is needed to solve that, and then you think about how to deliver it, that's a different mindset. And in addition, we heard a bit earlier from Kasiang and Nishat about the difficulties that the COVID year has created, with engaging customers face-to-face. And digital engagement has definitely come to the fore for pretty well everybody in the world this year. What that means is that we can really take new solutions to people fairly easily, but it must be real time and it must be simple and straightforward and affordable. So I think we've got to turn things on our heads and think about customer first. How do we make things engaging and solve real needs for people who traditionally maybe haven't accessed insurance, but how do we make it easy and simple for them to do so? And this is where the innovation cycle comes in, or the actuarial control cycle. So we start, of course, with our end customer, and we might do some ethnographic research following them around in their lives to work out what's important to them and where they spend time and when they think about financial security. And that then germinates an idea about how we could help them financially protect their lives and their livelihoods. From there, we create a product idea. So we plan it, we might test it again with our target market, and then we build it and launch it. That's the action. From there, being good at analytic actuaries, we look at the results and we analyze those results, look at the insights. And then when we take the insights, which might be about customer engagement, it might be about marketability, it might be about profitability. We take those insights and we know what actions we need to take to optimize the solution that we've got in the market. And so the actuarial control cycle keeps going around and around. And it's exactly the same as the innovation cycle. And it starts, with ideas and planning, implementation, analyzing results. What's changed in the last decade or so is that digitization and data have really changed what's possible. So clients definitely expect everything to be real time. They definitely expect everything to be available on their handset, and they expect things to be personalized. The Amazons of the world and every other retail provider has provided things so personalized that consumers expect that from everybody, including their insurer. The data-driven business model actually enables a very speedy actuarial control cycle here. And in fact, the new business partners also expect that. So if you want to digitally engage more consumers in a new way, you might be reaching them by partnering with a telco, or by partnering with a Grab or a Gojek, or one of the super app providers in our markets in Asia. To work with those partners, we can't then do triennial experience analyses, we can't do annual experience analyses and annual updates to product. These partners actually expect that we're looking at the results on a daily basis, activating on a weekly or monthly basis, and optimizing based on the data-driven business results. So this actuarial control cycle needs to really, really speed up in order to work with business partners that enable those digital engagements. In addition, digital really enables us to operate not just one product, but do our A/B testing or 5 different versions of the same product and test out which one has got the greatest success rate and greatest customer appeal. So this is where new technology is important to understand. So blockchain is the basis of the technology that Galileo uses. There are many other technologies, and as a designer, you need to be familiar with all the technologies that are able to help you reach your customer. Blockchain basically takes the sequentiality from the client talking to a distributor, talking to an insurer who talks to the reinsurer, and passing data in between. Blockchain enables real-time transactions, puts the customer at the center of all those transactions, and provides a single source of truth in a secure way, and definitely strips out that replication of cost through the value chain. And that's the basis on which clients become the center of the Galileo technology. So the clients, everything's driven around the clients, and the transactions from quote through to payment, claims management and so forth is all about the customer. And each of these parties, the insurer, the distributor, the reinsurer, banking partner, could be a health provider. For P&C, it might be a car repairer. All the different partners that you want to plug and play to create your differentiated product proposition, they are all sharing a single source of truth about the customer. They just have their own window on that information. that really strips out cost and replication through the system and enables you to really tighten and speed up that actuarial or innovation control cycle. Because there's a single source of truth that can be used in places like bank assurance, where the bank and the insurer both want to see the same simultaneous information on the customer at the same time. Brokers can deal with multiple insurers and getting multiple quotes in a split second. Insurers can have different but similar offerings to different distributors, so slightly different products, slightly different commission bases and so forth, so that you're really attaining the right alignment with the customer targets that each partner is able to bring. You can do data feeds from parametric providers, and also the economics make micro insurance very viable. And this is critical as you think about new product propositions. And when I say micro insurance, that's not just micro amounts of insurance, it's also micro duration insurance. So it's economic to even provide 1 hour's worth of cover, and think about what that could do in providing new product propositions, whether it's accident cover when you take your child ice skating, or providing insurance to somebody traveling on the back of a Gojek motorbike, or somebody who's driving a Grab taxi for a short period of time. So there are many multiple benefits that AI, blockchain, all the data analysis enable in this data-driven business world. But it is all about client-centered design enablement and real-time experiences. So please, my suggestion is make yourself very aware of the different technology and tools that really give you the tools to create differentiated propositions that can be very customer-centered. That's what's going to create the new clients and enable you to tap into those untapped client segments that will increase your organization's revenue, potentially through new channels. And use the data from those data sets to really speed up the product development and ongoing product enhancement and innovation and optimization that's going to help the clients in the best way possible, and at the same time manage your profitability to be sustainable. Data is available all the way through the value chain. And so again, you've got to have not just the data analytics to create the insights, but you've got to have that speed of product innovation so that you can implement what you're learning from those data insights. And the final thing is that costs are reduced on fairly modern technology to the extent of potentially 50 to 80% reduction in underlying cost infrastructures. And again, that's what's making smaller amounts and smaller duration insurance more accessible in what is possible for you to create for these new segments. And at the end of the day, that increased revenue and reduced cost is what's going to improve profitability for your organization. So here are some things to look for when you're talking to your colleagues in your technology teams and your operations teams, to give you the greatest flexibility in designing new propositions to really seek out these new customer segments who you're trying to serve. So firstly, you want to look for significant product flexibility down to the coverage level so that you can piece together the relevant coverages on a personalized basis for the consumer that you want to attract to your solutions. And that really requires flexibility through the underlying technology infrastructure. In Galileo, we use coverage trees to roll up individual coverages to benefits and individual benefits up to policy level, which then lead up to product coverage. And within that, I'm sure you're all thinking about how best to cluster people together. It could be that you want to offer family discounts, or it could be that you want to offer discounts for a partner that is providing insurance to their existing customer base in a completely different industry like a telco or an airline, but you want to provide discounts to them, or through their group coverage with employment insurance. Coverage duration, again, you want to look for flexibility, and this relates to cost of the underlying infrastructure that you're building on. You want to make sure that you're able to wrap the insurance in an incidental way around the lifestyle choices of the people that you're trying to attract. And therefore, you've got to make sure that the cost economics make that viable. And that's probably meaning that you need to make products that are viable in the dollars and even cents, not in the hundreds of dollars anymore. And similarly to the flexibility around coverages, you've got a potential way to roll up premiums, and also to claims triage down at the coverage level, not just at the policy level. So these are some of the flexibilities that are available with the new technologies in the market, and you've got to keep your eyes and ears open. And in your own organization, your job as a product designer is to piece together the right partners or the right technology to enable you to create your differentiated proposition consistent with your brand promise to seek out these new customer segments. So I'm going to give medical insurance as an example here. It's only one example possible, but I think it demonstrates some of the flexibility that's really available to you as a product designer. So here we've got a group medical policy that's offered by a company. The company is offering a certain amount of employer-sponsored medical cover, but also additional coverage that their employees can purchase for themselves and their families at their own cost, and it's administered through their payroll system. Within the group, there are a number of plans associated with different employee seniority, and also a number of individual plans that the employee can select from for themselves and their family member. And you can go all the way down to individual coverages that each family member could pick and choose from to serve their particular needs. So you may have somebody in the family, the grandma might want some Chinese medicine as one of the options, and maybe the 20-something-year-old child might prefer to choose physiotherapy. So you can actually get down to that very granular level, which is what enables the customization, the personalization. And therefore, if you're able to offer that, that creates your differentiation in the market to help you meet your target segment where it's most relevant for them. You can still roll things up so that you've got overall outpatient caps. You may have overall annual caps on your medical claims payouts, but that all can roll up according to the coverage trees. When a staff member leaves the company, the person's policy can continue continue on, even though they're on an individual basis outside that group construct going forward. So these are some of the options that are available. Of course, you can use it in the life insurance space. You can create, very different propositions. You've just got your imagination is the only constraint there. This is graphically just showing you how a product or a policy could have different coverages at different levels. There's an unlimited number of layers that you could go to here. And when an individual client chooses, in this case, they're choosing these particular benefits. These benefits might be paid for by the company. These might be taken up at an individual level and individual cost. But that's the kind of flexibility that's enabled with the latest thinking technology. Similarly, you can split premiums between different payers, even within a policy that covers a family that might sit under a group employment cluster. You can have different payers for different family members. You may have a family head who pays, but you could also separate out those payers if you wanted. in addition, claims processing is also client-centered. It's not actually recorded as a claim, firstly, against a policy. It's actually recorded against a person. And it may be that the person has 3 different policies: employer, sponsored, individual, and maybe another one. And the individual can choose which policy they want to make a particular claim against. As an insurer, you've also got the ability to automate as much or as little as you want in the claims process. So you may decide that for cost reasons, you want to automate 80% of claims that are under 100 Singapore dollars. And you do that, but you want to refer any claim above that to a claims manager. Because this enables a data-driven business model, you can actually dial that up or dial that down to work out the optimal level at which you bring in experienced claims managers, or at which you bring in a third-party administrator to help you manage the claims. But the capability is definitely there to automate as much as you want, and obviously that has very significant cost savings if you do. So blockchain is one of the technologies. As I said, there are many out there that you as product designers will be very familiar with. But blockchain really does provide this single source of truth, which creates the opportunity to be very client-centered, no matter who is working with the client, the distributor, the insurer, medical provider, anybody else that you want to bring into the client experience journey for their specific moments of truth. Things are very secure with private network and encryption. Transactions are a split second, so it's real time and can be very easily designed for mobile activation, which is going to open up and diversify the revenue streams in addition to other channels that are used, whether they're advised channels or banks or so forth. And because it's data-driven business model, you do have that ability to really analyze all the insights, but you've got to have that speed of product development execution to use the insights in order to optimize the benefits for your business. And at the end of the day, new technologies are generally very low cost compared to existing technologies. And so that also enables its own continuing innovation because it's very cost effective. So as an example, a live example, Singlife, who I'm sure you're all very familiar with, they recently launched in the Philippines with GCash. Galileo Platforms is the underlying technology that they're using as their core administration system to really serve these untapped customer segments. Whether the customers are in Manila or if they're in the outer islands of the Philippines, Singlife is seeking out to ensure these new and untapped client segments. Their first products are dengue fever and COVID, of course, very topical this year, but it shows you that these products can come to life very quickly and can be launched very quickly, and the agility is there to really serve the data-driven, scalable business models in the small and micro insurance space. So one of the questions that Charlene and the SAS has asked me to talk to is not just what's possible, but how do you actually get started? If you've got grand ideas and you've got a real opportunity that you've got in mind, how do you actually get started? So here are my 7 simple steps. They're quite straightforward. I think getting traction is pretty easy. So you start with the end consumer in mind always. You've got to start with that customer mindset and understand their need, and then create the solution that you think is going to meet that need. And you create, your minimum viable product, the first version of your product. If you build that can actually be put up in a day. Certainly you can do it in a week. A really complicated product you might take a month to do, but you can you can get, we've definitely done MVPs in a day, and a good number in a week. You then take that minimum viable product out to your target market and you test it. In fact, you might want to test 5 versions of it to see which version has got the greatest response from your target market and your customer base. And from there, you build your financial business case. You're concurrently negotiating your new partnerships. That could be a new distributor, could be an e-distributor. It might bring in new service providers that are different from what already exists in the market. And this is where your ideation is critical in solving true customer needs. And once you've got those partnerships agreed, then you simply link and integrate the product with your distributor, your service providers, and also your back office systems like your general ledger and your actuarial valuation system. So that can be done anywhere between a week and a month. Some more complicated ones might take 3 months. And that gives you the positioning to be able to launch your product and, of course, serve your customers on an ongoing basis for their service and their claims, as much or as little as you want to automate. And back to the actuarial control cycle, once you've launched, you want to look at the results, monitor the results, and then use the results by feeding it back into the control cycle and updating your product, and doing so in a very quick manner. And with blockchain, for example, whatever you've contracted with the client will execute, but any future changes are only applicable to, you can make them applicable to your past clients, but if you decide not to, they're only applicable to new clients, and your promises that are already made to existing clients will be fulfilled, and you really minimize any regression testing that you need to do. It's a very neat technology to facilitate that ongoing innovation. So with that, I really hope that I've given you some insight as to some of the possibilities that are available to you as product designers and service innovators in working with new customers, new partners, to really help tap in to unmet needs for customers that exist in Singapore and right across Asia and in fact globally. There really isn't any limit when you're using new tools to how you can solve customer needs. And I think COVID-19 has really given us an opportunity this year to rethink how we think about customer needs and how we solve them. And I really encourage you as designers to take the courage and think through what's right for the customer. Obviously, you've got to make it financially sustainable for your business. But I think that 3 years from now, the organizations that snap back after COVID-19 will be very much shown up by those organizations that have the courage and are bold and instead snap forward and seize this opportunity to invest for the future and reach their customers in more engaging ways, using new tools. So with that, I'm very happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Annette. Yeah, we've got a few questions in the Q&A screen, if you can see them.
Okay. So, okay, we've got a question about, if a policyholder has the freedom to choose their benefit, they will select the benefits which they are most likely to claim. To mitigate the anti-selection, insurers would have to load more conservative claims assumptions in the pricing. It doesn't seem to benefit the policyholders from a financial perspective. Well, yes, this is an interesting conundrum that actuaries have, right? You've got to, you want to market from a personalised perspective, but of course you've got, the whole insurance concept is about pooling risks. And so there will always be a trade-off as to how big is the pool of sufficiently similar risks that the insurance, philosophy works. But I think there are many smart actuaries and there's a lot of data around this, and I'm sure that we can solve that as professionals.
I'm just conscious of time. Maybe we take one more question, and if it's okay, to the participants who have not had your question answered, please do reach out to us or to Annette directly after this. So one
Okay.
last one.
Yeah, there's a question here about data privacy. Actually, the blockchain is very good at data privacy, and certainly for Galileo, the technology is GDPR compliant. It's compliant with all the data residency requirements across Asia. And so while there's a single source of truth that different participants see on behalf of the client, they only see their window and what they're allowed to see from the commercial and data privacy point of view. So actually the information is very secure and all the privacy requirements are met. So I hope that answers that particular question.
Okay. Thank you, Annette. Yeah, clearly many more questions to address, but we will move on to our next session.